Hello, so today I will go over some tips on percussion. Easiest way I like to record percussion is to play it in. So what I'll do is I'll set a metronome going, like so, and I'll just hit play and start playing. Something like that, and then I'd quantize it and take it back. If you can't do that, or you're not able to do that, the other way is you can just draw it in. So we find our drum. All I'm doing there is using my command click tool, and I've got pencil tool so I can draw the notes. If I hold command and click, I can draw. Let's see what we get. So that's good enough. The thing we need to do now is change some velocities. So what I'd like to do to make this quick and dirty, because obviously when I play it in, it has the velocity set. So you can see there the first initial notes are red because they're a higher velocity, and then the other ones to follow are lighter because I played them lighter. If I don't have a keyboard to play them, or I use my musical typing, what I need to do is set those velocities myself. So what I want to do is take the start of each bar, so that's this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one will do, this one, let's say this one. Doesn't have to be perfect. There's other ones that you can also take. So maybe I want to take this one too. Maybe I want to take this one too and this one. Yeah, and then what I'll do is I'll increase the velocity of these just a little bit more than the rest. So they're clearly starter notes now. Now what I can do is take all this down a little bit just so it's nice, and if I do this, you can see where all the velocities are. So we've got some louder than the others. So now we can see that those kind of blend in as background notes. Those are the main hits now, so keep us in time. What I'm going to do is go to Functions, Transform, and Humanize. I do have a video on humanization, how it works, what to do. You can change these figures if you like. If you just leave it default, whatever you've highlighted, click Operate Only, and it will only change what you've highlighted. And you saw at the bottom there, it humanized them a little bit by making them a little bit random, which is what these figures are. They're random values. If I click it again, it will make it more random. Also, what humanize does is it means that it doesn't start perfectly on the line anymore. It's more like a human. So it's either too fast or too slow, never perfect. Now you can see all these have a random velocity value, which is more human. And because this one has been humanized to start before the bar, it doesn't play at all. There we go. So maybe I like this, but I want them all to be a little bit louder, so I'll just turn them up there, or I can turn them up and down here on the velocity. So let's turn these up. So something else I really like to add underneath all of this is sticks, or R sticks. So here are some sticks. Whoops. So I have a few that sound the same here. The reason why they sound the same is something called round robin. What round robin does, or to emphasize round robin, so what round robin does, if I play a load of these in a row like this, some plugins have what's called a round robin. So none of these sound the same depending on how big your round robin is. So if you've got a round robin of 6, it will play 6 notes differently and then start the robin again. So it will go around and play 6 notes differently, and then when you get to the 7th note, it will play 6 notes differently again. So the next 6 notes could be similar to the first 6 notes, or the same as the first 6 notes, but within 6 notes, no 2 note will be the same. A little bit hard to grasp, but because let's say these two have a round robin of 6, if I played 12 notes, that's a round robin of, double this now. It's 6 of each. So 6 notes on here, and 6 notes on here, and 6 notes on here, until we get back to the first note. So it's just a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit more variation, which adds a little bit more realism. And if you do that for multiple layers and things like that, it helps, which is exactly why at the end of here, these are all basically the same drum, but when you change the velocities like that, they all sound different. I could put them all on the same layer, but the round robin might have already kicked in before, so there's a chance that these might sound the same and blah blah blah. So if you just separate the layers that sound the same, then you can increase that chance of more realism. Simple as that. You don't have to do it, it's just something you can do. So here's the sticks. What I want to do is try and keep time with these. So these are going to be our example of something like a metronome. So I could just quite simply drag all these out. That's a little bit boring, so let's change it up a little bit. Okay, so that's what we have now. And if we play that underneath, that really adds some more dynamic to the whole thing and makes it sound far more realistic and pulls you in a little bit more depending on what you're doing. Obviously, it's a very simple lead part, or rhythm part, whichever one you want to call this one. This could be far more complex and pull you in even more. I can show you some examples of this later. So, something else I like to add is something very low. There's loads of patches where you can get quite low drums, or you can just sample audio for low drums or something like that. Just a nice boom. Fortunately, in my suite, I have a few examples of low hits. So what I like to do with these is put them around on some starting points. Maybe not this often. Most likely not this often. Actually, no, let's separate it by this much. And then what I can do with these as well is change them up. And this just adds some power underneath. And you can add more than one in. So I could add in another one. Ooh, I could add another one in here. Maybe change it up a little bit. maybe that one's too pronounced, so I'll put the velocity down. And like everything else, I can hit J to join these up, and then I can go to functions and humanize. So these are all different as well. Overall, I don't want them to be too loud, so turn the velocity down a little bit. And I appear to have lost my first note. So what else I can add is some tachos. Very popular drums. I have two patches here that are the same patch, so it's just exactly the same on each one. I can play them together. But something you can also do is pan drums or percussion to left and right. So I can do that here. But what you might hear is some phasing because it is just the same percussion played twice, but except one's left and one's right. So you'll get phasing issues, which in layman terms just means it sounds bad or broken. So don't do that. The way that you can fix this is much like we've done with everything else. Let's draw them in and see what we get. So if I just want to draw these in very quick. Okay, so for the sake of time, what I have here is so just a nice simple little drum there. What I've also done is copied it onto the second taiko, and then if I do the left and right panning, doesn't make much difference because they're just the same drum. So what we can do with one of them is we can just shift all this up maybe an octave and play a different drum. Make sure they all play. Yep. If I wanted to, I could do this the other way as well. So we could add more taikos. So if I duplicate this again twice more, we'll call this 3. And we'll call this 4. So now we can do it again, except this time I'm going to take the lower one and then the higher one. I'm going to take this and I'm going to shift all this down by 2. Make sure these all play. Actually, let's shift them all down by 4. Let's go crazy. So this note doesn't play. Now it does. This note doesn't play. Now it does. And they should all play now. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Except I'm going to shift all these down or up. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 5. That's, yeah, the highest ones play. And these won't play. Now they will. So the other thing we can do now is highlight all of this stuff. So we have a lot of drums going on here. And I'm going to humanize all of them. I'll turn down a little bit because it's all a bit loud, and we'll play. The other thing you can do here is make some crazier than the other. So just for the sake of time, I'm just going to duplicate this in itself. I'm going to do the same here and see what this sounds like. So I really haven't done anything special there, and I could absolutely go in and edit these to be more of what I want. But in context of everything else, if we play these, loop these again, and again, and that's the end of the bar, so we'll cut it off. there. And we'll play it, oops, we'll play it with everything else. And then obviously you can just go in and edit all these to be different and change whatever you want to do. There is not really a right or wrong you can do here. So the other thing now we can do is obviously we could develop this further and make it more impactful later on or earlier on, and then quieten out or whatever, make the whole song more dynamic. But because we've just got a short sample here, what I can do is make these drums a little bit more impactful. So I can add, and by these drums I mean the frame drum. I'll just call this frame. Whoops. Frame. So what I can do is make these a little bit better. So let's just add in some stuff over the top of this. And there we go. Nothing is different into how I did that. I just drew it all in, and you can see here I have a little build up. And then near the end it's faster. I've just added more to them. Let's hear in context. And again here what I could have done, actually let's do it. What I could have done is duplicated this layer and put them on left and right if I wanted. I do need an original layer, so let's try this. So we've got frame L and frame R, and I need a central one. The reason I need a central one is because I do want to keep the driving rhythm, this one, I do want to keep this central. So what we can do with these left and rights is get rid of the we don't have to get rid of the central rhythm. Yeah, let's get... Actually, no, what we'll do is we'll turn the velocity down. Let me bring that one back. We'll turn the velocity down with this one. I'll take this one down at 28. And I'll take this one down to 25. So what I can do now as well, so to stop all this phasing, is change the patch for these. So let's move these down to here. Make sure all these play. Whoops. I'm just combing over these, highlighting them, making sure there's no notes that don't play. Yep, so they all play. And by don't play, if I was to open up a taiko, for example, and try to play one of the black notes, black keys, you see, if I go up or down, it plays, but on the black note, it doesn't play. Whereas if I do that on here, they all play. So that's what I'm doing when I'm combing through, just making sure there's none that don't play. So just make sure that you aren't peaking, and that's by your stereo output going in the red, as well as the track outputs going in the red. If you are going in the red, I have sessions on this and how to fix this, and what it means and what it does and why you should avoid it, and also while you're mixing, why it doesn't matter before you're mixing, so the pre-mix of your track, why it doesn't really matter as long as you're not causing any issues. So feel free to watch those. Everything's linked in the description. I've got a big playlist on all the sessions you can need. So let's hear these in context with everything else. Nice, easy as that. You can you could loop that forever and put anything you want over the top. Nice, some nice tribal noises, or you could have a nice orchestra driving piece or whatever. You could change the time signature, mix it all up. But the most important thing that we can take from here is just your MIDI. Make sure you aren't repeating things, and if you are repeating things, it needs to be with a purpose. So when you've got two notes that sound the same one after the other, why is that? And if you've got a good reason for it, absolutely no problem at all. If you're making some sort of electronic music that doesn't need to sound very realistic, or I say realistic, but I mean like a real world person has played it, no problem. You can do whatever you like. If you're trying to make a realistic sounding orchestra, or worse than that, if you are paid to make a realistic sounding orchestra, like you're contracted for a game or a film, short film, anything like that, TV trailer, whatever. If you're contracted to do some work and you start making orchestras that are all just a toothpaste of MIDI with no dynamics at all, you're probably not going to get paid again, at least by those people. Because they're going to want something realistic sounding and something organic. So doing all of this makes it, or at least gives it much more of a chance of sounding more realistic, more organic. Because it's an AI and a computer humanizing this stuff, and I didn't go through it myself, if I was obviously paid to do it, then I would absolutely go through and make the money worth it. Whereas if I'm just making a loop or something for myself or someone else for something really quick and dirty, there's not much wrong with this. There is some stuff that can go wrong with this. It might sound too robotic in places. It obviously sounds very loopy at the moment. It doesn't really have a purpose. It doesn't go anywhere. There's not really any emotion to it. It's just all there and not all. So we could go in and fix that stuff in an hour or two, and then by the end of the day, we've got a really, really good percussive piece that we could use and use and use time and time again. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. Thanks for having a watch and a listen, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye! Just quickly before I go, I will also link all of this stuff in the description, as well as my tutorials, as well as the MIDI file. I will link this project MIDI file in the description for you to download, so you can take all of this MIDI that I have and play with it and make your own song. Maybe even send me it back. Send me a link to the video of you showing the final output, or send me the MP3 or something like that. I'll have a listen, and maybe I'll rate it in a video or something like that if that's what you'd like. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.